Hi, I'm Alan Danley. Every day in America, a centuries-old process begins each morning, afternoon, and evening. Police officers put on their body armor, their Sam Browne duty belt, their gun and badge, and they kiss their wives or husbands and children goodbye, and they go to work, just like the rest of us do. The difference is, for many of them, it's the last time. Like a soldier, cops become a target as soon as they put on that uniform, and they literally risk their lives every day to protect the community and to enforce the laws that keep dangerous people off the streets. From the first departments back east to our modern system, which has highly specialized branches in federal, state, and local jurisdictions, law enforcement has evolved dramatically in the last 100 years. Now, cops have been intensely scrutinized over the last 100 years for a variety of reasons. Number one, now they have the powers that normal people don't have. They carry guns and the authority by the government to use lethal force if someone were to try to harm them or others. And they're also authorized to use physical force if the arrestee is combative or resistive. American society gives the police officers these powers in order to fulfill what has become known as the social contract. The social contract is and dictates that we give up certain freedoms in order to have the security to live here in our country from fear or pain or violence. If someone comes to our house and robs us, we forego the pleasure of pursuing them and catching them, and we simply call the police and have them deal with it. If someone assaults us, we call the police and have them arrest our attacker. Now, the people who get arrested generally don't want to be arrested. They'll resist verbally and physically, regardless of their guilt or innocence. And with the advent of cell phone cameras and social media, the public is now getting a closer look at how police do their job. The sad part is that while lives that are saved or people that have been helped will barely be noticed, mistakes are going to be on the 6 o'clock news. The public has become so interested in law enforcement officers and trying to catch them screwing up that they started to record them doing their job to the point of interfering with them doing their duties. Many times you'll see on YouTube an aspiring filmmaker who's too close to an arrest in progress. The police officer will warn them to back up, and they'll refuse to comply because they believe that their First Amendment right to film trumps the officer's safety. Many times I've seen the officers warn somebody multiple times to back up and end up having to arrest that person for refusing to simply comply with a basic instruction. Now, the reason they do this is simple, but most people don't understand it. If the cops are trying to handcuff a dangerous suspect who has not been frisked for weapons, it is possible that a citizen filming the cops or interfering with them could jeopardize the officer's safety. If an officer is using force to effect an arrest, the public does not, under any circumstances, have any say in whether or not that person is going to be arrested. Cops go through an incredibly extensive background check to determine their ability to treat the power they're given with respect and not to abuse it. The public's perception of law enforcement is based on each individual's perspective of law enforcement is the way they see it in the media. Cops constantly see people when they're at their absolute worst, and they have to behave and react differently than others do due to the constant danger that comes with the job. Now, most cops that I know personally don't mind being filmed, but they definitely don't appreciate people interfering with them while they're trying to do their job. There's a lot to consider before becoming a cop. You need to have thick skin and be prepared to take charge with authority in a variety of different situations. You must be prepared to work long hours on holidays and weekends away from your friends and family. They must absolutely have the ability not to internalize the inevitable criticism that they're going to receive throughout their career. Now, when a cop first starts his training year, his field training officer tells him the bad news, which is, we don't get to win. In other words, there's always going to be bad guys that get away with it. The public will distrust you and despise you regardless of how many years of dedicated service you provide. He'll also tell him to prepare for hours and hours of boredom, punctuated by moments of sheer terror, and to be prepared for even your closest friends to criticize your actions and the actions of your brothers in the force. During most cops' career, 90% of them are never going to discharge their firearms. And for the ones that do, whether you choose to believe it or not, it's always a traumatizing experience. I personally know police officers who have had to remove children from wrecked cars and try desperately to save their lives before EMS gets there, only to watch them take their last breath while their parents stand by, helpless to do anything. I know another cop who showed up to a house where a father had doused his son in gasoline and set him on fire. When he arrived there, the first thing the little boy asked him was, "Why did Daddy burn me?" As a society, we have a lot of problems, and we tend to look at our leaders to solve them for us. When the police show up to our house when there's been a problem, we expect the police to side with us and to take away the problem. Unfortunately, some of the time, the problem is us. Nobody ever wants to admit that they're the bad guy. So before you focus on yourself and your problem when you interact with the police, take a few moments to step back and to try to see the situation from their perspective and give them a break. Thank you.